Welcome to Grit City Tales, a podcast hosted by the Humane Society for Tacoma and Pierce County. I'm Mary.
And I'm Maggie.
And together we're amplifying the untold stories of pets and the people who love them right from Pierce County, Washington. Thanks for coming. Welcome back.
Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about Lost Pet Prevention Month because July is Lost Pet Prevention Month.
Yeah.
And you may or may not know why it is called that, but might be able to guess. It is because there is the 4th of July, and lots of pets go missing at that time. But that's not to say that they don't go missing other times. There's actually a statistic from Petco Love Loss Foundation that 1 in 3 pets go missing in their lifetime. Mm-hmm. And that's, for anyone that's experienced that, that is a horrible feeling, not knowing where your beloved furry family member is.
Yeah. Just out there on their own, left to their own devices. It's scary.
And some are kind of natural mischief makers and may like to go off and get into mischief more than others. But the 4th of July is a time when even the most loyal, confident, dogs that don't normally ever leave your side or cats that don't normally leave your side, they get scared and that fear takes over and they just try to get to wherever they feel safe. And that usually disorients them. And so then we get cases of lost pets. And we want to help you all with some tips on how to help prevent your pet being lost and just prep for the holiday in general. So let's start off with, we talked about this a few weeks ago in an episode, microchipping. Microchipping is a super important kind of safety net that you can get your pet that attaches them to you, even if a collar or name tag falls off. Collars and name tags, super important. Definitely want to keep them up to date. If someone sees an animal wandering around, they can usually tell that it's an owned pet that's not with their family if they have that collar and name tag on. And then they can go, if the pet is friendly, right up to it, find that contact info, and then hopefully immediately reunite it with its people.
Without having to take that pet to a shelter or a veterinarian to check for a microchip.
Yeah.
So the collar and the tag is like a first line of defense.
Exactly. And then if either that is a dead end or they don't have a collar or name tag in the first place, sometimes when they're off getting into mischief, these critters, collars and name tags fall off. And that's where that microchip is extra handy. Because if someone finds a pet, whether it be a member of the public or even animal control who is out called for an animal that's on the loose, they can either bring it to the shelter or a local veterinarian. And vets will scan it for a microchip, as we will. And then we can find what info is saved on that microchip. So the pet's family's name, address, phone number, and that is kind of that link that if an animal comes in, just say a black cat, we get lots of black cats in, but that microchip says that, hey, this black cat belongs to that person, and we can reunite them, and you don't have to sit there worrying where your pet is, and we don't have to have them sitting in a shelter being stressed.
A dead-end microchip is not just disappointing for the pet owner. It's also very disappointing for us because that is our number one goal, is to reunite pets with their owners. And so please, please, please update your microchip. I'm going to go check mine right after this.
Yes, and that is super easy. You may not know your pet's microchip number. It's usually a 15-digit long number, so that's not something that just rolls off the top of your head to memorize. But you can bring them to us or here at our shelter or to the local vet, like we said. So once you have that microchip number, you can go ahead and look it up on the American Animal Hospitals Association microchip registry lookup, and that will tell you who the manufacturer is, and then you go through your microchip manufacturer's updating process as determined by that microchip manufacturer. So with that, once your pet is all up to date with the current info on its collar, name tag, and microchip, there are then other things that you can do to help make any stressful times a little bit less stressful. And this applies not only for the 4th of July, but even other times of the year, or just if they're experiencing some stress. And so I want to share some tips with you.
Summer months are way more stressful when it comes to loud gatherings for summer, barbecues, change in routine with travel, and leaving them with a
pet sitter.
Summer months are really difficult for pets. So let's talk about some tips.
All right. Well, tip 1 that I have is preparing. So we've all been kind of aware, I imagine, that fireworks start well before the 4th of July. For most of us, we hear them even a week or 2 in advance. And sometimes it's in the evening, sometimes it's during the day. Everything is still light out, and you just hear these sporadic booms. And so trying to prepare by like exercising your pet well ahead of nightfall when those fireworks really start ramping up.
The constant ones, back to back to back.
So plan on keeping them indoors. And if they are indoors, if they're stressed, you also have to make sure that everything is secure. I know you might be having your windows open and enjoying cool breezes at night, but make sure that your windows are secure, fences, gates, doors are secure, because when animals are in panic mode, they're just trying to get to where they feel safe. And an otherwise normal, like lazy animal that may not test doors and windows can all of a sudden get scared, and that's when potential accidents happen and where they get out. Also, as we just mentioned, checking the IDs, so making sure everything is up to date. And if your pet doesn't have a microchip, you can come in as a walk-in service any day of the week between 10 and 5 here at our shelter to get a microchip for low-income residents. It's $25, and that gives you that safety net to make sure your pet gets back to you, especially if their collar or name tag falls off. We also want to try to minimize the noise. So anything you can do for like buffering any of those loud booms, closing curtains and windows, adding white noise. That can be fans, that can be music.
I found out there's brown noise, and that one actually is more calming than the white noise. White noise is more of like a and then brown noise is a little more soft. So that's a thing, just so you know.
And for me personally, I just turn on a movie really loudly. So that can work as just...
Is it a Disney
background. Movie? May or may not be. Yeah. Mary knows me pretty well, yes. So it's probably a Disney movie that my dogs and I and my rabbits are listening to. It's fine. Anything that muffles the booms that are the really scary things. And then just getting them cozy. Maybe
Hunker
even
down.
Music. Yeah, being there with them. You're often their safety. So having you near... I know that may not always be possible, especially when you're celebrating the festivities. So making sure they're inside in a cozy place can really help them through that tough time.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So let's go on to what we can do if the unfortunate case comes about where you find that your pet is lost, whether it's related to the 4th of July or not.
Yeah. I want to share a story from my hometown, Charleston. There was this dog that went missing after a boating accident. I'm not exactly sure of the details of the boating accident, but what happened was this dog ended up in the water. And thankfully, the pet guardians had put a life vest on the little golden retriever. And so no matter what, this pet was in a safer position. What happened is that Rocky, which is the dog's name, swam to shore and was just meandering around one of the islands surrounding Charleston. And what they did is posted them on Petco Love Lost, which we'll talk about a little bit more. They posted them on Facebook. They contacted the Humane Society. Charleston Animal Shelter posted a ton of correspondence about this pet because it wasn't just kind of a runaway situation. It was a freak accident where this dog ended up in the water, and their pet owners were just distraught.
Oh, I can't even imagine getting in a boat accident and then also losing your pet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they had drones going. They had the whole community looking for this dog, and they were able to find Rocky chasing a raccoon in one of the backyards. And so he was dehydrated and he was wet and dirty, but he still had his lifeguard vest on. It says lifeguard, and it's red, bright red. So honestly, reading that story, I was incredibly proud of those pet guardians for ensuring the safety of their pet.
So was Rocky microchipped?
Yes, he was microchipped. He had the lifeguard vest on. I believe he had a collar as well. And it was really just a heartwarming story of community and how they show up for people like Tacoma. And so I wanted to go into Petco Love Lost because what an amazing platform. So I was actually going through the steps to see, how, if you were to find a lost pet, how do you post on Petco Love Lost that you either found a pet or you lost a pet? And so you go to Petco Love Lost, their website, and it'll talk you through the steps of how to post your pet. So it's like, I've lost a pet or I've found a pet. That's the first thing. Second thing, upload a picture of your pet. And I was like, okay, a picture makes sense. But they actually use patented pet photo matching technology that will immediately search the national database of lost and found pet listings. Yeah. And so that's really cool. The technology, it looks at the size, color, facial features, and coat length attributes to make a match. And you can also put the zip code where you lost the pet. So it is going to search the national database, but it'll also search the local areas. And so this program, it looks at various different databases, so shelter databases, Facebook, Nextdoor. It looks at other partner social medias. It looks at
if citizens themselves just report that they found an animal.
Yep.
Well, wow.
It'll look at that. And so Rocky, the pet that I was talking about, was posted on that. And so there was an entire community looking for that dog. So awareness is incredibly important for lost pets. Posting on streets don't always do the trick anymore. So
yeah, though those are still a valid thing to do. Do that in addition to these other things, but having that resource of all of those platforms that it's searching to help you find your pet, that is amazing.
It's wild technology that is helping people and reunite pets. So really exciting. You post that. You can look through all the pets that were found, all the pets that are lost, and a really, really great resource if you find a lost pet or if you lose your pet. So sharing pictures is very important. A lot of people base that on visual.
I know if I see a lost animal pet, there have been some posted in my neighborhood actually, and they've been on some bright green poster board, which is nice. The size, but definitely as I'm driving by, a picture is so important. I can't sit and read everything, but I can recognize oh, okay, I'll keep my eye out for that as I'm driving, to work or wherever.
Yeah, and in the shelter that you work in.
Well, yeah, of course, but for posting in your neighborhoods, I literally have some posted in my neighborhood right now, and so if I'm driving somewhere in my own neighborhood, I can keep my eyes out and open so that hopefully somebody is driving around and finds it, and it doesn't even have to come to the shelter.
And that is the next tip, is that you check your surrounding area, because many lost dogs and animals are found within a mile of their home. A little less than half are found within a block. I've told you the story about the dog in my neighborhood that just escapes the fenced area, and I'm just go home, and it's right there. Check your surrounding area. Try walking the dog around the neighborhood to see if neighbors recognize them, or if the owner's out looking, or if the dog takes you straight back to their home.
Yeah, sometimes that does happen.
And so another thing is consider indoor and outdoor cats. If you find a stray cat that appears to be healthy, do not bring the cat inside your home or move the cat. We know this sometimes sounds counterintuitive, but it may be the best way for the kitty to find its way home. Many cats are indoor, outdoor, and may be able to get back home all by themselves. Cats know their area and their realm.
Yeah, they kind of have their own territory, and so these fireworks and stuff, or whatever situations that cause them stress, they might hunker down for a day or two somewhere where they feel safe, but they're probably going to make their way back to their home.
Their territory, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they feel safe or secure. So another thing is, we just talked about this, reporting the found pet in your community, calling us as well, and providing our staff with description of the pet, where they were found. I would call vet clinics and provide descriptions of the pet as well. I mean, the first thing you should do is check that identification. And if they don't have a tag or a collar, after doing the community search and walking them around the neighborhood, then checking for that microchip is the next step, and have them scanned. So if they don't have a microchip, they don't have a tag or a collar, which oftentimes that does happen, If possible, hold on to that pet.
And we can provide you with resources too if you're willing to, if you like, say you don't have a cat, but you're willing to hold on to a cat, we can give you a crate and some food to hold on to it for a few days while you're searching for its family.
Yeah. Just for a day or two, the family will probably have an easier time getting them back if they stay in the neighborhood where they were found versus being in a shelter environment. And then obviously you've already posted, you've already put out signs or whatever that you found the pet. And so the reason that we also ask you to hold on for a day or two is that the Humane Society for Tacoma and Pierce County is an open admission shelter, which means we take in pets no matter their age, breed, medical issues, behavioral problems. And to effectively manage the continuous influx of animals, we have what we call an appointment-based intake system. This appointment-based system is consent-based and is simply the practice of inviting our community to help support them when they say yes to helping the pet. And so through this system, our community members can schedule appointments via our website, thehumanesociety.org, to bring in found pets. And this approach, aligned with national sheltering standards, offers several benefits, such as reducing the stress for both people and lost animals to not have them in the sheltering system at all, enables better preparation and management of shelter resources. So we send you home with food and supplies and whatever you need to keep that lost or found pet in your home for the time being. It increases our capacity to serve more pets and people. It helps us respond promptly to critical situations and emergencies. So we have that kennel open in case of an emergency that comes through. It also controls the spread of diseases in the shelter environment, and that's key right there. Because, although we do vaccines upon intake, we don't know what animals are coming through with. And so those are all really important to why we have the appointment-based system. Intake-based system thrives with the community support, and research shows that the most lost pets are found really close to home, and bringing them to shelters can actually decrease their chances of reuniting with their families.
And you can find the pet appointment system by just going to our website, thehumanesociety.org, and at the top of our webpage, you'll see you'll see lost and found pets as an option you can click on, and that is where people can either search for the pets who have been found or make that appointment for the found animal.
Yeah. So we talked about a lot for National Lost Pet Prevention Month. I want to talk about how we made happy happen this week. And so we had a adoption event because we were in an emergency capacity crisis. Maggie, can you share some about that event and how many animals were adopted within that 4-day period?
Yeah, I think it ran from it was a Wednesday to a Sunday.
Okay.
And we were doubling up, tripling up dogs in kennels. The cat area, every kennel was filled. We needed foster homes for placement for so many other animals. I mean, we have, I think, over 300 animals in foster right now as well. So resources were tight, like they were spread thin. Literal space, we just were lacking. And so we had an adoption special where fees were waived for adult animals, dogs, cats, and critters. And amazingly enough, like every time we get in this situation where we're just stressed and strapped, our community comes forward, and 274 animals found their families during this capacity crisis.
Yeah.
So in just that short time, we had people here waiting and willing to wait. And our shout out to our adoption services team, who really, they helped facilitate all of those adoptions. So they were busy little bees.
Yeah, it was the whole shelter, coming together to get these pets into loving homes, led by the ASR team, the Adoption Services representatives. So if you adopted a pet during that period in mid-June for emergency crisis, thank you so much for showing up for us. Thank you for helping in any capacity as volunteers. I know we have some volunteers listening. Thank you. And we just really appreciate you coming and showing up for the animals.
And we're also talking about Lost Pet Prevention Month because around the 4th of July, we have another spike in intakes. Mm-hmm. And so we don't want to get to the point where we are at a capacity crisis again. things happen, cases come in, we are there for our community, but if we can keep the amount of animals from ever entering the shelter environment through the methods like you mentioned, Mary, for people that find lost animals, 4th of July is stressful for people and animals, and it can just be a really tense time. And if we can help keep that spike from happening in the shelter for that population increasing with people bringing in stray animals, then I think we all win. The animals get to their families, staff isn't spread as thin. So definitely us all working together as a community and us here as a resource for the community.
Yeah. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We post episodes every other Thursday, so come back and listen soon.
And if you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to support our podcast, please go ahead and subscribe, share it with others, leave a rating and a review. And if you have any questions you want us to answer on a future episode, go ahead on our website, which is thehumanesociety.org/podcast, and submit your questions. And to catch all the latest from the Humane Society for Tacoma and Pierce County, check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Tacoma Humane.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.